FIFA 20 is now done. FIFA 20 will be remembered for another FIFA game. But there are other FIFA games out there. There have been FIFA games in the past where they have been so much more better and so much more stronger. But today, FIFA 20 has ended. Now we will remember FIFA 20 for being that one game, like I said, to be a good game, more or less. But now time for FIFA 21. But before we get into any of that, we are now going to talk about FIFA 20 and its end. Now here I'm going to start talking about the very beginning of FIFA towards the end, and some of the players I've used, and you'll see screenshots of me putting out players that I have used during FIFA. Now I have used a lot of players, and I have just have screenshot after screenshot after screenshot after screenshot. So I'm going to be very sorry that this video is humongously long, but I kind of just want to make this video so I've got a bit of a documentary, because I've never done something like this before, but also my PSN ran out. So yeah, I'm currently trying to do this, see how this goes, and if this works out, brilliant. So I hope you guys enjoyed the start of this, and yeah, let's get into it. So straight away, this was the first team I recorded on my FIFA that I've got at the moment. Now in the first basis of it, there was just I used a system where I would have two teams. One would be a team that I've built, and the other team would be a team that I've built using mostly free players that I've packed in the past, or just a few cheap players that I've just got through packs or whatnot. Now as you can see in my team, I do have Alisson in goal, and that back four is quite good. That whole team is pretty decent, and if I remember correctly, I did actually have a pretty good weekend with that team. Now for me, I always judged everything by how good the weekend was. I would always go around saying, look, I had a good weekend with this card or a good weekend with that card, and in a total I just had decent weekends with, well, decent players. And I always judge how the time it's spent to get to gold 3 also got around. So this team, I obviously got gold 3. The thing about me was I was going for gold 3 every single week. I didn't even bother going for gold 2 or gold 1. Gold 3 was just the golden era for getting good cards, and this is where I was getting. So with that team, this is the first team I got recorded, and to be fair, it's not a bad team. I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold in form, I've got McGinn in form, Dele Alli in form, I've got obviously Harry Kane up front, and I've got ones to watch Pulisic, I think that's his name, yes. So yeah, a very, very, very good team, and I really enjoyed using this team. I do remember using it, and I really enjoyed using it. And I just, yeah, the way I always got forward was by how well that weekend went. So after that team, the other team I've got recorded is this team. This team with, well, a very, very good team, Bundesliga and Premier League. The one thing I used quite a lot was hybrids. Why? I don't know, I just did, and I just kept on using these hybrids, and I kept on making them, and I always made them work. Now this is the second team I've also got recorded. James Milner, scary card. Dele Alli, once again 86 rated, but Jimenez as well up top with his Europa League card. These were the type of cards I was going for, and I even got Ryan Giggs, who at the time went for a really, really cheap price, and I think if I remember correctly, I got him for about 90k. So that was a lot of money, but also very, very cheap for an icon who is actually really, really good. Now players like Jimenez was one of the players I just love using. He would always be in the box, just banging in the goals, and for a weekend he was quite good. Majority of the cards that I've just spin through right now are pretty decent, and I would say that some of the cards like Harry Kane's or Pulisic, or even the informs like John McGinn, they've all been very, very good cards, and I recommend using them if you ever go back to this game, because they were just on top. But like with this team, Bundesliga, Premier League, Kimmich, Hernandez, Alaba, Laporte, Lloris, like the whole thing is all on 10 cam, and you can see that easily with the amount of players I've got. Even with the second team, Ryan Kent was one player, Jamie Vardy, Nathaniel Ake, Jordan Henderson. Even Jordan Henderson, he had an 85 rated card, which was absolutely nuts. But then you got his 94, and his 94 was just the peak of the peak. But yeah, I really like this team as well. Even Cancelo got good pace in that right back spot, but great pace all around. And I've got to say that's a pretty decent team. And here is the other one I've got recorded. Now this is a bit much of a similar team, but with a bit of a few changes. Now in my second team you can kind of see that I've got a Prem side going on, but the main team for the weekend you can see that actually, bang, that is a beast of a team. And I've got to say the whole team itself was pretty good. And throughout that team, I'll probably rate that team as probably one of the best teams I've used. And I think at the time, if I rated it out of 10, I rated it a 9 out of 10. So this was probably one of the best teams I've used in FIFA 20, and you can see why. Harry Kane, Lewandowski up front, two big players who are just units of a game, units in this game, and also Gnabry and Willian on the wings, and Dele Alli's scary card, but also Kimmich's scary card. The reason I used Dele Alli's scary card compared to James Milner was Dele Alli was more of a starter player, and I felt like with Dele Alli with a shadow on him, he was just even more better. And even like sort of the flashback card at that right back with Hernandez just all worked. And as you can see, like it's got Bayern Munich with Dortmund and pretty much a Premier League side. And with Willian, I think if I remember correctly, I used a 4-5-1 if some players weren't working. Like if Lewandowski wasn't working, I would put James Milner on for Lewandowski. If Harry Kane wasn't working, I would put Harry Kane off for like James Milner. And even like I had Decore as well. Decore was a really, really good card I used. And even Willian was decent. Even at some point I even did use a 4-3-3 with Willian in cam. I do remember that a lot and quite frequently. And even putting Traore at left wing, he was quite decent. Not as potent as probably Pulisic, but I think it was a bit of a try. Even Ryan Kant came on at left wing and did a bit there. So yeah, pretty decent team to be fair. Now we somewhat go to the meta teams. Now these were the teams that actually pretty much got better. Like these were the teams I would say that got better, but also every time I made a weekend team, it get better each weekend. Now this was a team that kind of dropped off from the last one, but even though I just contradicted myself there, it did have a decent result even to get into Gold 3. The last team got to Gold 3, this team got to Gold 3. Now I remember some of the players here like Edison, even Nathaniel Ake's winter card, looking like sort of your Foyth with his 84, and even Dele Alli's 88 and Jordan Henderson's 85. That was one of the cards I really, really enjoyed. And probably the most played player in that team, Trent Alexander-Arnold with his 88 rated player, also got like 700 appearances for my team as a whole. So that was one card I used quite a lot. And even like Bernardo Silva and Harry Kane and obviously Martial up front. Even on the bench, you've got a pretty decent bench. I've got a pretty decent bench here. Now this was again the team that I kept on switching about. This was like another team that I think rating wise it went up by 1 rating, and it was pretty decent. I quite like this team. Players that I kind of stood out for me were like obviously Bernardo Silva, Dele Alli, obviously Harry Kane, probably one of the most consistent players in this team that I've played. Even Trent Alexander-Arnold and Harry Kane were probably the two best players I've used this FIFA, just because of how consistent and decent they were at this game. Now this was another bit of a mix. This was a bit of a change. As you can see on the benches, I've got Trezeguet, Bernardo Silva, Kent, obviously like that centre mid that was just an absolute beast. Even like sort of Rodriguez as well, the 86 in form, which didn't have much pace on him, but this was a bit of a unique team I wanted to go for, with like sort of the Ajax team as well. Like you can see there, I had like Ziyech, that Martins, but also Telefico. This was quite a decent team. I quite enjoyed using this. Even the icon, Dennis Bergkamp, probably one of the best players I've used. I did have my ups and downs with that card, but mainly with that team, I pretty much had a pretty decent team. I remember struggling quite a bit at the very beginning, and I changed it like near the end just to get more out of the players that I got. And I think I remember going for like some left wing card, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it was not a bad team, to be fair. Like even this as well, 4-2-4, it was pretty much like a 4-2-2, but more like a 4-2-4. And Dele Alli on the right was pretty decent. Preferred him in the middle though, and obviously Harry Kane, Dennis Bergkamp up front. Just yeah, pretty decent. Now to a bit more of an exciting team. Now I did go back to like Laporte. I really remember at this time I was trying to figure out my team a bit more and try and get more out of my team. And I had like sort of Nick Pope in goal, his birthday, which was pretty good. He also had 5-star skills as well. But with like sort of Andy Robertson, I went back to the whole Prem idea, and obviously Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and obviously a bit more of a different midfield with the 4-3-3. But Trossard as well, a good left winger that had a lot of potential. Quite like this card. Didn't really get the most out of it in the end because it was just at the time when I got him, it was a bit too late, and a lot more players had a lot more stronger defences than you probably realise at that time. But one player as well, Bergwijn for birthday, probably an absolute beast on the game. Really enjoyed using that card. And even some of the players on the bench as well, like Goretzka and obviously Carrera, who was actually really good. And again, Harry Kane obviously as well, with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And you got like Fabinho. Fabinho's really decent. I don't know what it was about his card sometimes. Sometimes it would be really good. Sometimes it wouldn't. Even Gundogan. Gundogan was just another player that actually worked for a team like this. Just pretty decent, hard working, and it just worked, and to be fair, it just did bits. Now we're going to a concept squad. A concept squad which ended up actually turning out something like this. Boom, there you go. Now this was again another team I kind of just fiddled about with. I used like obviously Bernardo Silva once again, but also Torreira and Dele Alli, but also Bentancur. Bentancur was a very good AC Milan player. At this time I was looking at players like the 91 rated Alexandro, who was actually a really good player, but also De Ligt. After when getting a good partner next to him, he played so much more better. But for that weekend, I did get up to goal 3, which I can't complain, pretty decent. But also, as well, a bit of an interesting back four, to be fair, with a league, I think it was a League 3 player and a League 3 goalkeeper. Both of them pretty decent. They had really good stats, but not doing the bits I thought they would do in the end. But in the end, it was really hard to try and get good players in this team. Well, a good centre-back. I think the problem at the time, I did spend a lot of money on trying to get De Ligt and Bentancur in, that I didn't have enough money to find another good right centre-back. So Goody and also that goalkeeper was probably the players I went for. And it's the problem with like the English centre-backs this year was it was hard to find a good English centre-back without going for players like Gomez, who were really expensive. You're looking at about 1.2 million for his team of the season. But in the end, still got a team like this. I had like obviously this was when team of the season came out, and even Felipe Anderson, really good player. Bernardo Silva, doing good, and it was a bit of an interesting one at the very beginning of it, but in the end did get to go to 3 and quite happy with it. Now I'm going to go into some teams that I've been against in the past. Players like this with very good teams. I can't lie, these were very good teams, and it was difficult to bring some teams down. Now I'm just going around with a few players that I've got been against, and even in the end did try like even that team. Road to Glory, beat it, done it, sorted. The R2K, like that was a very good team, to be fair to it. That's very good team. But in the end, I always seem to get ahead, and even the stream when I was doing the division, I think it was like trying to get to gold 2 or something, even that was a very good stream. Mostly I've gone and looked back at some of the streams and I thought, you know what, some of these streams are pretty decent. But now to some of the players. Starting off with Tammy Abraham. This was a player that just did really well, 31-25. And again, 1 goal, 5 1 games played, 5 goals scored. And I did go back to some of these players. Obviously, again, Tammy Abraham once again with a good goal streak and the stuff. And James Maddison, 107, 59, 53, I think I remember that. This was another player that I just managed to pack in. He was going for like 500k. Again, Harry Kane, 2025, for 100. I was Trent Alexander-Arnold, 130. As you can see, some of the stats there. Maddison once again. Bought him for 13k, by the way. That's cheap. McGinn, and I have used every single one of these players. These are the players I've put up some stats here of every time I've used these players, and I've got some good results out of them. And there are tons. Luke Shaw, again, probably one of the most consistent left backs I used that season. Gundogan, pretty decent for 20-yard games, and even Lacazette as well, very good at 20-yard games. But like I said, 20-yard games, these were like weekends. I always play like a certain amount of weekends with certain players, and they get result like this. And even I found Navas in Real Madrid, which was quite funny, to be fair. Again, packing Henderson, that was probably one of the packs that I quite got. And also Carvajal, again, that's probably, I think he was untradeable at the time. James Milner, 270 appearances, pretty fucking good. Dennis Bergkamp, again, pretty fucking decent, quite liked him, he was pretty decent. Obviously Jordan Henderson as well, 162, quite a lot of appearances there. And also Mane as well, for 1 weekend, pretty decent. Robertson, another player that's just had tons and tons of just games up. Again, buying back Jordan Henderson. Bernardo Silva, 300 odd games, 133, if I read that correctly, because I'm currently using a very, very small screen. Bentancur, Karim Benzema, I think I used him for 1 weekend or something like that. He was quite good. And Roberto Firmino. So next up is obviously De Ligt. De Ligt again, very good, very consistent. Quite liked him in those 51 games. And then I managed to pack obviously Keylor Navas. He went out for a decent fee. I also packed Thiago Silva, who ended up being probably one of the best players I've used. These are some of his stats in defence. And also I packed obviously Neymar. This was probably the biggest pack pull of FIFA 20 for me. Jimenez, really, really good player, quite like using him. And then we've got obviously Moreno, who was quite a good player, got me into the gold 3 in like the final game. I had Tielemans as well. Both players there, really, really good. Here are some packs that I've packed. Pepe, De Jong and Higuain. Bit annoyed that's not Dybala. But again, some of the packs I've got over time, not massive, but decent. Obviously Bernat, quite a good player, quite like using him, his 85. Here's another one with Lopez and Donnarumma, obviously wants to watch Brandt. And here's another one who actually just tore teams apart, which is Martinez. Harry Kane, as you can see, those are his stats and they're mad. Bergwijn, again, another player that I've just loved using, really, really good player. Dele Alli, some of the most used players I've used in my team. Here was Harry Kane again. I think this was his final results, I think. Obviously Bergwijn again, I think those are his final stuff as well. But obviously David Silva, managed to get David Silva's 94, which is not bad. Could have got his 98, but I couldn't afford it at the time. Arthur as well, pretty decent. Quite good, and then pretty much more of a central middle centre defender, like a central defensive midfielder. Gerard Moreno, probably one of the best right wingers I've used, just an absolute clinical finisher. James, probably the best 80 rated card in the game. Alba, again, a really, really good player, quite like using him as well. And Sterling, probably one of the best left forward cards I've used. More like a cam, I use him more like a cam. These were the final results of Thiago Silva until I sold him, or put him into a SBC, I think, for the premium SBC. Marcelo, again, a really, really good player. Visca, quite like using him. He was not mad, like over the top. Joel Felix, both these players not mad, but have used him before. And obviously Rafa as well. Really didn't really. I thought he would be so much more better than that, but unfortunately not. Antonio got his Player of the Month card, used it for one, I think, for a bit, got bored. Nelson Semedo, David Silva, I think that was when I packed his card. Yuri, but that was a good player. That was quite a good card. Quite used like that card. Grimaldo again, another player that I just bought, was really pretty good. Adama Traore, but I packed him twice in guaranteed Premier League packs. I was so annoyed about that. Gabriel, Trent Alexander-Arnold, final results, just 700 odd goals games. Jesus, Ruben Diaz, pretty good centre backs to be fair. Quite liked using him. Couldn't fit in my team in the end. Dembele, quite a good player. Quite like the use of him. Fernandinho, I think I got him in a pack, untradeable. A lot of players that I got in packs were all mostly untradeable. Gayu, untradeable. What a surprise. Davis, untradeable. Can't do anything about it. Santi Cazorla, untradeable. Really didn't need him to be untradeable. Mertens, again, another player that was just untradeable. And obviously Tomori, untradeable as well. So many untradeable cards. But also TT as well, a player moment, a storyline card you could get. Trent Alexander-Arnold, bought his card, still got him now, still pretty useful. And also Fatty, another player that I've got that is also untradeable. Another untradeable player, Matt Hummels, seems to have a lot of untradeable players. And Ibrahimovic, another untradeable beast, who I also did put in an SBC in the end. Lehmann, another player who I did put in an SBC for ratings and stuff, and trying to get these guaranteed team of the seasons. So after all those screenshots, this is the final team, and I hope you have guys enjoyed this video, because this is a video that I've been kind of doing along for a bit, because now FIFA 21 is now out. Well, if you get the 10 plus hours. But this is my final team, and to be fair to it, it's a pretty good team. Obviously Thiago Silva, Chris Smalling, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Bernat, Pope. The list goes on, and even on the bench and even on the rest of the club, like the amount of players I've got here are just nuts. Obviously Harry Kane, 4 games played, 12 goals scored, 4 assists. Pretty much, insane. Obviously played 1 game with Riyad Mahrez, but I think he's a first owner. Yes, he is. So yeah, not much really to say, except from like pretty much the only player that is tradable is Trent Alexander-Arnold. How much is he now? Wow, he's gone up a lot. He's gone up a lot actually, to be fair. But yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, 167k, quite expensive, but now is a bit more. But literally every single player except from Trent is untradeable, and that's the way I've had to deal with things with FIFA. I'm hoping next year I won't have as much as untradeable players, but I know that for a fact that is probably going to happen again. The amount of tradable players that you get in this game are very, very rare, and the fact that I think before Trent I probably had an inform Harry Kane, and that he was like the only player that I had that was tradable, and then obviously I got his 97 and he's untradeable. So yeah, like the amount of untradeable players that I've got in my team are ridiculous, but in the end it is worth it. Like a 195 with the players like Neymar, Harry Kane, Riyad Mahrez, Henderson, Ndombele, Chris Smalling, Bernat, Trent Alexander-Arnold, team of the seasons as well. And then even if we go on the bench, Jamie Vardy, Leroy Sané, Vinicius Junior, Pogba, Thiago, Modric, Alaba, Ferran Torres, Kostic, Alba, Valverde, and even Ansu Fati, all 90 plus rated players. This is the 90 plus rated team that I have built over time, and it's one heck of a team. It is one heck of a team, and this is probably one of the best teams I have built on FIFA. like this is probably the best team I've built on FIFA, 100%, because of the likes of Neymar, and even Neymar, like you look at the amount of games he's played for me, 255, 167, 120, like that's pretty good, really good. And yeah, it just, the list goes on. Even on my reserves I got here, obviously I've got a lot of loan players, and loan players were literally given, but even I've got like some players like Oblak. I've got players like Oblak that I've got in my club, and if we keep on going, I think I've got a few other like players that I've just managed to get over time. Even like James is another player that I got, Marcelo 91. And that is pretty much it. That, like, the amount of players I've put into SBCs, and the amount of players I've put into this or that or whatnot, you name it, I put them into SBCs, and this is the final result. This is the final result of this team, and it is a very, very good team. I probably rate this very, very highly. But the one thing about this team that I do quite a lot is change the formation, and you're probably wondering, what formation do I change it to? Well, the formation I do change it to is the formation of the not 4-3, but the 3-4-2-1, more or less. But basically this is the formation I kind of go for. I think there was another formation I was looking into that had 3 midfielders, obviously this one. The main reason for this is to get more out of the strikers, but also to get more out of the attackers. So in CDM you probably see like Henderson, the back 3 will probably be Bernat, Thiago Silva and Chris Smalling. Right mid, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ndombele at right mid, bloody Ander Herrera at left centre mid. And then at left mid, somebody like Riyad Mahrez, or depending on who I think would do better at left mid. And then up top is only Harry Kane and obviously Neymar. And that's the way I kind of did things. I did things a lot more attacking, and the more attacking, the more press you do in the final third, the more goals you're going to get in the unlikeliest of moments where they go in behind your midfield. And that was the whole idea of it. Like, that was the whole way I was going forward. Even putting Thiago at left centre mid, or Pogba at left centre mid, even Luka Modric in CDM if I wanted, or even Alba, for instance, at right centre mid if I wanted him to. The possibilities of this team was pretty much endless. And even Leroy Sané, if Riyad Mahrez wasn't working, put Leroy Sané at left mid, and he will probably do a lot more. Like, he's got 99 pace, he's got a great card. Jamie Vardy as well, if Neymar or Kane isn't working, Jamie Vardy straight on. And this is the type of team that I've got. This is the team that has now been overloaded by beast players that could beat a team no matter what you put against it, just by sheer tactics and complete press. And that's what I kind of wanted with my team. I wanted a team that's got loads of stamina, but also I wanted a team that if certain players are low on fitness, I could put them on by my bench and just win the game that way. But this is the final result of the FIFA 20 Ultimate Team. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This probably would not have been able to be done without obviously support of people who watch my videos and people outside videos as well. And being able to make a team like this with literally 0 FIFA points is absolutely insane. I think I've got like the most insane team you can probably build with 0 FIFA points, and yeah, I could not be much more happier the way that this team has ended. This is an absolute beast team, and yeah, just complete, utter, just perfection, really, I think. I'm joking, but yeah, for me this is probably one of the best teams I've built on FIFA 20. And I have had some good teams in the past, and you have seen that in this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do like, do subscribe, and now let's get ready for FIFA 21.